Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is supposed to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you and yours. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that great big subscribe button right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live right now, post a new video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you find the content useful, helpful, insightful in any way, shape or form, or just want to give this channel some love. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Now, in today's episode, I'm going to be discussing I'm not ready for sex yet versus monogamy versus asexuality. So I had this person message me in Facebook dating and saying that's okay that you don't want to have sex because I'm not ready to have that. So we'll be discussing that in just a moment. But first, if you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy. I'm an author of Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories book. The link to that is down below in the description. It's 47 real-life asexual stories telling their personal opinion about love, life and sex. And I'm also the author of Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, which helps you to have less pain, more energy and feel happier if you've got fibromyalgia. And a lot of the techniques apply even if you don't have fibro. So you can grab a copy of that through the link down below too. So going back to tonight's episode then. This guy messaged me on Facebook dating. He liked me. He was a young guy. I think he was early 20s. I'm not sure if he's 20, 21. So some of the guys I spoke to recently on there, they've had like different ages to what their profile said. One guy said it said he was 27 and he's like, oh, I'm not, I'm 20. So anyway, I talked to a couple of young guys on there recently, and one of them, he said that I said, well, what attracted you to my profile? Because I'm not interested in sex. And he said, oh, I like a relationship with an older woman, and not having sex is okay with me because I'm not ready to have sex yet. And I said, so how many dates have you been on with an older woman? Which is usually the question I ask them. And he's like, I haven't been on any. And like, well, I was talking to two guys, so I'm getting a bit confused as to which guy was which. I think it was the other guy. But this particular guy, I asked him, this particular guy, he'd been to Disneyland Paris in 2017 like me, that's right. And I said to him, because he said he liked older women, I remember saying to him about, so what does your parents think about you like an older woman? And he said, oh, they don't know. Right? So if they don't know, it means usually they're going to want to keep you a secret if you're an older woman, right? Usually that means because they're looking for casual sex. So, when I said to him that I'm not interested in sex and he said it's okay, and I said, well, I, got to the point where he said, oh, I'm not ready to have sex yet. Now, if someone says that's okay, I'm not ready to have sex yet, it means they will want it in the future. This is very different to being in a monogamous relationship. If you get into a relationship with someone who's okay with not having sex because at the moment they don't want it for whatever reason, maybe they feel they're too young, which is what the other guy was also saying, the other younger guy, that he's, so if the guy thinks he's too young or is not ready for sex yet, that's not the same as asexuality. You must understand that if someone is saying, oh, I'm like you, they're not like you unless their sexual orientation is asexual, right? So you can't, if you're interested in younger guys like I am in their early 20s, a lot of them are interested in a lot of sex. I don't understand why 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds really interested in sex. It just baffles me. I'm like, haven't you got anything better to do with your life? Do you know what I mean? Why are you so hung up on sex and trying sex? It's really not that great experience. But anyway, so if a guy says they're not ready yet, or any gender said they're not ready yet, that means to say, the word yet means to say they will be in the future. So with this particular guy, I said to him, well, I'm looking for a guy who will tell his parents about me. And he's like, oh. And if you're not ready for sex yet, it means you'll want it in the future. Just because you don't want it now doesn't mean to say you don't want it in the future. And he's like, but now I don't. And I'm like, but I want a monogamous guy. And I don't want sex. So if I'm monogamous, I want a monogamous guy. It means that I want someone who's faithful to me without sex forever, like I'm not going to have sex with him forever, right? In a relationship. So clearly that guy is not the right guy for me. And that's what I wanted to bring to your attention. Be very, very careful when you're dating and you're speaking to sexuals, that it's not just right now at that point in time they can live without sex. If they say, it's okay, I'm okay without sex, they might be very well okay in that moment for a few months, a year. Obviously, we're in lockdown again in the UK. A lot of people social distancing. So having having a relationship without sex to a lot of guys at the moment will be more appealing, because a lot of them can't go out to have sex with women anyway, although a lot of them will still try. If you go on Facebook dating, they'll still offer to meet you a lot of the time. Not right now, because we've actually gone into official lockdown in the UK, so I haven't had that for a while, but you can still get them wanting to meet up and they just don't care about the rules, right? So you've got to be very aware of this scenario, and you've got to really ask intelligent questions from the beginning. Like, ask them their long-term plans. Ask them if they want kids. If they want kids, it requires sex, right? Yes, it might require some other means, but we're talking to sexuals here. Sexuals don't really go thinking, oh, I've got a genitalia, but I'm not going to use it because I'm going to have a test tube. They don't really think like that, the majority of them, unless they've got something wrong with their bits, right? They want to have sex naturally. And so if they want kids later on in life, the majority, there are a few exceptions to the rule, but the majority will want sex naturally. They want children naturally, so they'll want to have sex naturally, right? They want to have sex, basically, So do not be fooled by this. Do not be lured into a false sense of security. This person's going to be with you forever without sex. You need to know from the off what they think about kids, how they see their life in the next 5-10 years' time, how they see their future career, what plans they've got, what ambitions and goals they've got, but you can find out if a person's right for you or not in a very short amount of time. If you ask strategic questions, like, I'm not interested in a guy who wants to hide me from his parents. And I said to this guy, so basically, you're looking for a casual sexual relationship. And he said, yes. And I said, well, that's okay. You're not my guy. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, it's fine. I'll continue my search for other guys. It's not a problem for me. I'd rather know sooner than later. And this is where a lot of people in dating relationships make mistakes. That's what I did in the past. A guy comes along and I don't ask him all the questions about future and everything like that. Or I don't actually ask him strategic questions enough to find out if he's right for me. Because I value my worth now, but I didn't value my worth back then, right? So I was eager to just get into a relationship years ago, prior to 2012, when I changed my life around, right? So it's very easy if you're an asexual who really desperately wants to have a relationship and there's not that, well, you feel there's not that many options for you, right? But in reality, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people out there. Right? There are literally 1 in every 100 people should be asexual. So basically, 10 per 1,000 people. That's still a lot of asexuals, right? And there will be very, very, very limited amount of sexuals that could live without sex. They are very few and far between, but they do exist. But you've just got to listen very carefully and ask the questions. So tell me, like, we're not going to have, okay, you said we're not going to have sex. Like, how long is it till you want sex then? And then I'll be like, oh, so sex is on the table. Oh, yeah, well, we can wait for a few months. Do you see what I mean? Asking strategic questions like that. Or even, I made the mistake, like I said on a previous video, I made the mistake of saying by accident, I like kissing with sex instead of kissing without sex, because I made a typo. And he's like, oh, that's great. After he told me he's not interested, he's not bothered if he has sex or not. Clearly he is. So you need to be asking these type of questions. You need to understand that someone waiting later to have sex is not the same as asexuality. Asexuality is a sexual orientation that's a lack of sexual attraction, meaning we don't see someone and get the need, urge, or want for sex and think, I want sex with you. It doesn't enter our head if we're a pure asexual. If we're on the more sexual end of the spectrum, it'll be like limited sexual attraction, or sexual attraction but not enough to want to act on it. Sexual attraction in limited cases. but the majority of time not, you know, all those types of things. But, you know, if you're a pure asexual, doesn't experience any sexual attraction, you know, that's what I'm talking about. And so be very open and honest. Remember, this is your chance. Dating is your chance and your opportunity to like job interview people. You know, you should have your list of criteria and questions of deal breakers, you know, things that you know you definitely don't want. And you just, all you have to do is ask a few questions and you move on very quickly. I didn't understand this years ago. I didn't know all this years ago. But because I've grown in my dating and relationships experience, skill set, I've really upped my skill set over the last few years, I can now ask all these questions and very easily just move on with my life. And it saves a lot of heartache and a lot of pain. But you have to understand that you are the one in control of the situation, of deciding whether someone is worth actually meeting up with on video camera, and then possibly in the future, when we're allowed, you know, to meet someone in person. You know, you are the one in control of that. And anyone you don't want that to happen with, you just say goodbye to. There are thousands of people, and we need to be having an abundance mindset, you know, a mindset that is, wow, there's a lot of people possibly out there for us. And you have to understand that being single is not a bad thing. Being single is a great thing. Being single means you're independent. You can live your life how you want, do what you want, when you want. You don't have to answer to anyone. You don't have to have someone, you know, like if you've got a nice, loving, caring partner, which you should do, then, you know, that's great. But not everyone does, you know, and there are downsides to relationships just as much as there are upsides, you know. Like if like I had someone else staying with me here, right, they would want to sleep at certain times, and it's like might not be what I want. They might want to watch sport, and I'm a sports-free zone. I can't stand it, you know. But going back to what this title of this video is about, is not being ready for sex yet or wanting to wait a while is not the same as asexuality. Not ready for sex yet, it's just basically abstaining from sex. It's just not having, you know, even it's not really exactly abstaining, it's just because abstaining is usually more of a conscious decision to not have sex. But, you know, it's like refraining from having sex for a period of time. But that isn't the same as asexuality and not experiencing sexual attraction. These people are still experiencing the sexual attraction. They just, you know, are waiting for a while. But in the case of this guy, he wasn't really waiting. It was just a lie. He said he was okay because I'm not ready to have it yet, you know. But then that's what they're on there for. They're there for a sex relationship. So they just lie, a lot of them. You have to understand this, right? It's not your fault. You're going to get it. With sexuals, you're going to get a lot of people trying it on with you, right? Because, you know, they're bored at home. They got nothing better to do with their time. 2 is they don't really believe you. Asexual. 3 is they don't even read your bio. Thanks for the thumbs up. Lots of love to you. You know, like the amount of times I've put I don't want sex in my profile, and I get guys, like I've got a guy blowing me kisses and writing me a message saying, "Oh, you're so something similar to you, like you're so sexy. Let's get it on, sexy." And it's like, what? Do you know what I mean? I get a lot of guys on Facebook dating finding me physically attractive, which is great, but it's like I don't want sex, but I get all the guys that really would just like to have sex with me there and then because I seem like the ideal physical type of beautiful bodily person they'd want to have sex with. And I'm not a skinny girl either. So it just goes to prove to you, you do not have to be a skinny girl to be very physically attractive to people. In my case, guys, because I just filter guys out there, you know? So, but I do get women who find me physically attractive as well, you know? So it just goes to prove that, you know, that. And also, like I said, from a monogamous point of view, you know, if someone says, I'm waiting to have sex or I'm not ready to have it yet, down the line, like I said, they are going to want it. And if you want a monogamous relationship and you're not going to have sex with them, it means they're going to have sex with someone else behind your back, right? if they're meant to be monogamous as well, and they say they are as well, right? You don't want this type of person. You don't need the heartache and pain. Personally, for me, I'd rather be with an asexual guy any day of the week than a sexual guy. And I really want to be with an asexual guy if I end up in a relationship. At the moment, the way it's going, it's not looking likely that I'm going to be in a relationship for years, which is fine by me because I'm really used to my own company and personality anyway. And I kind of love it that way, you know? I think, like, actually, from the point of view of, like, social isolation more, I think I've got used to my own company even more. I'm not sure if I got a little tiny bit more introvert. But I did have to go out, like, to the bank today. I've still been getting rashes, by the way, if you wonder how my health's been lately, because obviously I wasn't on the stream last night. So, yeah, but it's very, very important to carefully question anyone who you're looking to date or to get a relationship with. You know, careful questioning, like, you know, like, talk to them if they say, oh, I'm okay not to have sex, and say, why is that if you're a sexual person? Let me help understand you better. You know, don't just accept the fact they say I don't want sex, because anyone can say that. It's dead easy, and the majority of them will. They just want to string you along, you know, so don't accept it, you know. So the questions you have to be asking is, oh, if you don't want sex, you have to tell them that. Some people will automatically be turned off by that and go. Others will be wasting your time. They'll just be like, hi, hello, hope you're okay. If they find out you don't want sex, this is basically, I'm bored, I've got no one else to talk to, I'm messaging you because I just happen to be messaging you because, you know, there's nothing else I've got better to do with my time. You know, if a person's just messaged you hi, hello, it means they want sex. There's this younger guy, actually 2 hours on the train from my city, and I was talking to him a bit by message, but he's just like, you know, most of the time it's just hi, hello, and tried to video chat with me, then didn't, then did, tried again, didn't, and this is how it went. And, you know, I said you can talk to me on Facebook if you want, connect on Facebook, because I'm more there actually on Facebook Messenger. Connect on Facebook Messenger. He didn't have a friends button on there, so I connected him there, and then he didn't speak to me for days. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, hi. You know, this is not the type of guy you want. And then he's like, oh, sex is an important thing in life, which is what I did a video about before. It's like, sex is not important to me because I don't want it. It's like I had a guy on one of my Facebook pages, Asexualise Facebook pages, who liked sex. And I told him I'm asexual and I don't like sex. And yesterday he started saying, oh, don't you find sex as good physical exercise and sweet? I'm like, no, I don't. I just banned him from my page because he just kept going on about the same thing about how great sex was. And I don't like sex. And I've explained that to him before. You know, so you have to understand that people often lie. Sexuals will often lie and say they don't want sex when they do. There are rare instances where they're being genuine, but they're few and far between. So you have to carefully question them. You know, like, so what if I did actually change my mind and decided, like, later down the line I wanted sex? And they were like, oh, yeah, that's great, babe. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm sure it is great because that's what you're really after, you know? So asexuality, to once again recap, is a sexual orientation that's a lack of sexual attraction. It means we don't get the need, urge, or want for partnered sexual intercourse in broad terms. And if someone just doesn't want sex for that specific point in time in their life, doesn't want sex yet, isn't ready for it, if they say any of these things, that doesn't mean to say they're not going to want it in the future. And likely, if it's a young guy, like I like young guys, they're likely going to want it down the line in the future. And if you're monogamous and want a faithful person to you and they want sex and you don't want it, they're going to go behind your back and going to go off with someone else, even if they say they're not. I've had guys in the past like this. Oh no, I just love you, I just want you, and they go and have affairs eventually because they can't stand not having that, you know. And it's disgusting, really. I mean, to be honest, I find it difficult to ever totally trust sexuals in that way because of my past experience and my current experiences with Facebook dating. Thank you for the thumbs up. You know, it's still the same way. There's nothing much changed. It does shock me though how many young guys, like really young guys in their early 20s, want sex. I mean, obviously it's quite well known that they're supposed to be really hot-blooded and everything, but it's like, really? You want to lose your virginity to sex? why? I just don't get it. It's just like, and it's to them, it's such a big deal. It's like, I've got to have sex. I've got to try it. I don't want to die a virgin. There is absolutely nothing wrong with dying a virgin. I mean, it's absolutely wonderful if you've done. I haven't, because I've had sex before in the past. But if you're a virgin and you die a virgin, blooming good for you, I say. You know, there's nothing wrong with keeping your virginity. In my opinion, you should keep it. If you definitely never want to try sex, it's really good. Because I don't think you're missing out at all. I think pure love without sex is far better. You know, building a strong foundation of friendship between you, building a soulmate relationship, building romance and kissing and cuddling, holding hands, being together, just discussing like life and business and dreams and hopes, just being there for each other to support each other and to just be there for each other and love each other and say caring, loving stuff to each other and just having a good time with no secrets and just pure soul love from the spirit, you know, without the need of any genitalia. You know, I do not understand the obsession with people wanting sex. Honestly, I just don't get it. I mean, obviously, I've been in heterosexual relationships for a very long time in my past. And back then, I kind of like understood it to a certain extent, probably a lot of extent, because obviously I thought I was heterosexual for years. I didn't know that arousal was different to sexual attraction back then. But when I thought about it, I've never looked at a person and thought in my case, a guy, thought I want sex with him. You know, but it's just like I still to this day do not understand what the big deal about sex is. I don't get it. You know, it's just, to me, all the pleasure is in kissing. But then a lot of people who are asexual in particular will not understand the amount of pleasure and excitement and happiness I get out of kissing, because a lot of asexuals don't like kissing as much as me. So in that respect, I guess I understand sexuals a bit more, because if they like a physical thing, it's really, really important to them to have it. Then, you know, I kind of understand that in that way, to be empathetic to them. But also, you know, I would never lie. You know, they lie about, oh, it's okay, I can live without sex. I would never lie and say I can't. I would never lie and say, you know, that I don't like kissing or I can live without kissing a relationship, because it wouldn't be true. Do you know what I mean? So I think there has to be a degree of integrity there, a degree of honesty and openness. And if that isn't the case in the beginning, I think you just need to move on for definite, you know? So bear in mind that, you know, if someone says they're not ready for sex yet, then they're not doing it yet. If they're holding out for religious reasons as well, because there's some people who you won't even have asked enough questions to find out if it's for religious reasons they don't want sex, or they don't believe in sex before marriage for whatever other reason, you know? And then when they're married to you, they'll expect sex. And then what are you going to do if you're asexual and sex repulsed and you're stuck with someone who demands sex from you? Because a lot of the time they demand it because they expect it, which is bad, but it happens, you know? So do not be fooled by people who say they're waiting to have sex, you know, to a later date, or they're fine to a moment, unless you want a short-term relationship. If you want a short-term relationship, fine, but I don't think you do. And you're likely to get very hurt emotionally unless you're an emotionless person, right? Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you for now. Don't forget to ask strategic questions when you do dating, such as like, okay, if you're sexual and I'm asexual, I don't want sex with you, but you would usually have sex. And if you're with me, you won't. Like, how's that going to work for you? How are you going to feel like in a year's time or 2 years' time? How are you going to feel when I'm kissing you or we're holding hands and being close and you can't do that with me? You know, all these type of questions, make them really, really think about it. And then they'll just probably get fed up and go, oh, right, you're right. I can't live without it. I'm sorry. Bye. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of the time when I say I don't want sex, they don't think it means forever. They think it's just a temporary thing because I'm trying not to be easy with guys or save myself for some reason. The right guy or some reason. It's like, no, I don't want sex ever. And like I said, a lot of them don't even read my bio. You know, they'll think I'm a really highly sexual person and they'll just want sex with me. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you for now. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. Thanks for the people who do. Don't forget to share this video with anyone you think may help their dating, relationship, and life in general. And don't forget, I'll be back with another live stream or video. So if you haven't already subscribed, hit that great big subscribe button right here, right now. And please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live right now and post a new video. It's been an absolute blessing to talk to you as usual. I'll see you on the next video live stream. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And yeah, if you want to get asexual perspectives, the link is down below in the description. Thanks very much. Bye.